World Cup fans came to North America for football, or soccer as it's called here in the States. But some are getting the full American weather sampler. Lightning delays, tropical downpours, dangerous heat, and skies that can flip a stadium from party mode to shelter in place in minutes. So here's the question. Why does the United States feel like the boss level of weather? And for Americans, no, it's not just your imagination. The US really does have some of the wildest weather on Earth. Even our OG weather nerd Thomas Jefferson noticed it back in 1805. Comparing America with Europe, he wrote that, quote, changes between heat and cold in America are greater and more frequent. 2 centuries later, World Cup fans are discovering the same thing in real time. So, in true Untamed Skies fashion, no hype, just science, unfiltered and wild. Here's why America's weather is so extreme. Reason 1. Geography. Look at North America, like a giant weather machine. To the west, the Rocky Mountains rise like a wall. They disturb the fast river of air overhead known as the jet stream, and encourage waves downstream, dips and bulges that steer storms, cold fronts, heat domes, and outbreaks. Then look south. The Gulf of Mexico is basically a moisture engine. It sends warm, humid air northward across the plains and southeast. Now look north. Canada can unleash deep, cold air with very little blocking it from pouring south into the United States. And from the west, dry air spills out of the Rockies and high desert. So in the middle of the country, 3 powerful air masses collide. Warm and humid, cold and dry, hot and dry. That clash creates fronts and dry lines, invisible battle zones where air is forced upward, and rising air creates storms. The faster the air rises, the stronger the storm. Add instability, moisture, lift, and wind shear, and ordinary thunderstorms can become severe, rotating supercell thunderstorms. More on supercells in a future video. That is the American weather recipe, and that recipe is why the United States is the tornado capital of the world, with around 1,200 per year. John Finley, lieutenant of the U.S. Army Signal Corps, the institutional forefather of the modern-day National Weather Service, wrote this about tornadoes in his 1886 book, quote, "The destructive violence of this storm exceeds in its power, fierceness, and grandeur all other phenomena of the atmosphere." And he poetically added, quote, "It is the same fearful story year after year of destruction and death. Tornadoes are indigenous to this country. They belong here because our geographical position and the topography of the country are altogether favorable for the conditions which give rise to their formation. No other country in the world is scourged by them, as is the United States of America." These words still ring true to this day. But it's not just the old postcard version of Tornado Alley, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. The threat shifts throughout the year, from the southeast in the winter, through the Great Plains in the spring, then up to the Midwest and Great Lakes in the summer. Even places people don't expect, like the East Coast, can all face tornadoes. The reason is simple. America has room for the ingredients to come together at full scale. Open plains, Gulf moisture, Canadian cold, a powerful jet stream, and enough wind shear to make thunderstorms spin. Now, add lightning. For a stadium, lightning can matter more than rain. One strike miles away can stop play and clear a field. The US Gulf Coast, Florida, Texas, and the plains are among the planet's greatest lightning zones. Then there's hurricanes. Every summer and fall, the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico can send tropical cyclones toward the US coast. That means storm surge, extreme rainfall, inland flooding, tornadoes, and wind damage, sometimes hundreds of miles from where the storm came ashore. And tropical cyclones generally target the western shores of an ocean basin, which means America gets hit while Europe and Africa stay hurricane-free. Other parts of the world absolutely get dangerous weather. Typhoons in East and Southeast Asia, monsoons in South Asia, heat in Australia and the Middle East, powerful windstorms in Europe. But most places have a steadier dominant pattern instead of the clash of multiple air masses like we have here. So the United States gets weather whiplash, a spring tornado outbreak, a summer derecho, a Gulf hurricane, a plains blizzard, a desert heat dome, a flash flood in the mountains. Sometimes these hazards happen in the same week, in the same country, driven by the same continent-sized setup. So when World Cup fans post, "Is the weather always like this?" the honest answer is, not every day, but the setup is always loaded, and the weather is almost certainly more extreme than in your home country. Here in America, the sky is not background scenery. It is a character in the story, and we've learned to live with it since the days of Jefferson. If you want no-hype weather science with a human pulse, subscribe to Untamed Skies, and send this to a fan who thinks their country has wild weather.